New York Giants fans, we had our first cut of the offseason so far, and it was linebacker Bobby Okereke, John Harbaugh, Joe Schoen, and everybody getting to work early on in the offseason as you're seeing a couple of moves flurry here and there, as March 11th is when it could be official that every team can start signing free agents and make it official during the free agency window. In this video, I want to show you guys how the New York Giants can clear from $80 to $100 million in cap space to get this thing rocking for the John Harbaugh era. First things first goes, you got to like this video, share it, subscribe. New York Giant content coming at you with Giant draft stuff. We're going to have news on the Caleb Downs situation. I am tremendously disappointed regarding Caleb Downs, who I deem to be the best safety prospect that I have watched in college football for over 10 years. That's how highly I thought of that kid. And the news about his leg and about the ACL and everything is horrendous to hear. So hopefully he has a decent career, and I don't see him going in the top 5, but maybe a team like the Giants can land him in the second or third round, kind of like a Will Johnson situation. But here we go, guys, with the Giants. Bobby Okereke is gone. This is a cut that had to be made, okay? $9.5 million in savings from the New York Giants in year 4 of Bobby Okereke's deal. Signed with us in 2023, had a tremendous season at the linebacker position. You thought we were getting this young and upcoming linebacker that we stole from the Colts in free agency on that 4-year deal. 2024, horrendous tape, horrendous season. If you just watched them, I've rewatched every game film. It was not good. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, 2025 was way worse than 2024. The coverage skills of a Bobby Okereke, even though it's not his strength, he seems to put more guys in the wrong spot at the wrong time because of his bad play at linebacker. Yes, he had 143 tackles, but tackles are not an important stat when you're a linebacker and when you're in the secondary. I want to see tackles for loss. I want to see different types of impact plays from the linebacker position that Bobby Okereke just could not make. He couldn't even make them that well when he had the very good year for the New York Giants in 2023. 2024 and 25, he just became worse and worse and worse. There was times where you're looking at him on film, and it just seemed like Bobby Okereke was out there for cardio purposes, missing tackles, running up and down the field, intentionally not going after tackles, depending on other guys to make the tackles for him, not gang tackling. Bobby Okereke struggled horribly over the last 2 seasons. It cannot be argued. And you can't tell me that he had 143 tackles and he had a good year. Guys, tackles have become such an irrelevant statistic when it comes to linebackers and safeties in today's NFL. They mean nothing anymore. They mean absolutely nothing anymore. Nothing. So Okereke was the first domino to fall for the New York Giants. Who's next? That's the next big key. Because now the Giants coming into this year had $9 million in available cap space. Now, cutting Okereke will give them approximately $18 to $18.5 million. Now, who's next? You want to know who's next? It's going to be guys like Graham Gano. It's going to be guys like James Hudson, who was a complete failure and disaster by Joe Schoen for that last year. Remember that Dallas game? He became virtually unplayable, cost the Giants alone in that drive. So Graham Gano is obviously going to be next. James Hudson. I could see a John Runyan right along the lines. We're looking at guys who are going to save the Giants a lot of money going into this season. So how are we going to structure the $80 to $100 million that I spoke about in the beginning of the video? How can the Giants, who started this offseason with $9 million in cap space, get you to $80 to $90 to $100 million in available cap space? It's not a hard thing, and a lot of these moves, a lot of the fan base will agree with, and we'll see if John Harbaugh agrees with them. First things first, you cut Bobby Okereke. That gets you to $18.5 million. Now you're going to cut James Hudson. That'll save you $5.5 million. Add that gets you to close to 24. You cut Graham Gano. That saves you another 4.5. That gets you closer to 28.5. Let's round it up to 30 because the cap is you could fluctuate the cap very well. You can make it in your favor. So now you look at a guy like John Runyan. You want to cut John Runyan. That's another $9 million. That pushes the Giants close to 40. You want to extend Dexter Lawrence. That could save you 15. You want to you want to trade Kayvon Thibodeaux, that could save you 15. That's 30. Now we're already looking at upwards of 65 to 70 million just on those 6 moves that I told you guys. And there could be plenty more ahead of that. There are a lot of cut candidates. Jalen Hyatt could save you $1.5 million by cutting him. He's most likely going to be gone. Lots of money can be saved on the cap, and the Giants are going to do a great job now with Dawn Aponte, with Joe Schoen learning from John Harbaugh, with John Harbaugh running this franchise. They're going to make the necessary cuts they have to make because it's just too simple not to make these cuts, okay? Graham Gano, $4.5 million. James Hudson, $5.5 million. Possibly John Runyan for $9 million. Jalen Hyatt for $1.5 million. Extend Dexter Lawrence. That gives you 15 saving, and trade Kayvon Thibodeaux. That's another 15 you add to the 2026 NFL cap for the Giants. That's upwards of 60 million I just created off the top of my head for the Giants. And all of those moves, maybe the Kayvon move is the only one. All of those moves, most of you guys will agree with me, the Giants can make those moves very, very easily and get a lot better going into next season through this offseason. So that's where we stand with the cap in that scenario. Is there a situation where the Giants stick with Kayvon? You could stick with Kayvon and still get up to 100 because you can other ways to get us to closer to 100. I came up with 60 to 65 with those 6 moves right off the bat. To get us to 80, to get us to 100, now you're talking about restructuring Brian Burns. You're talking about restructuring Andrew Thomas. These are 2 all-pro players that you won't mind restructuring their deals down the road, push their money down the road when the cap just continues to go up and up and up every single season. That will not affect the cap. That will not affect the future of this team. When you have Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy, Malik Neighbors, when you have all of these guys on rookie deals, especially the quarterback in Jackson Dart, you need to take advantage of the cap situation that your team has right now. And with Dart going into only year 2, contracts with Jackson Dart, you don't even got to be thinking about those for another 3 seasons. Not put it in the back of your head. Malik Neighbors, you could wait another 2 seasons, maybe jump on that early if you see how his knee recovers from the injury from last season. Cam Scatterbo, you want to see where he's at in a year or 2. Tyrone Tracy. They have a lot of guys that they do not have to worry about moving forward for the next couple of seasons, which makes the Giants situation, and this is what John Harbaugh saw when he took the job, a lot of young talent who've yet to be paid and who don't have to be paid right away. We have a couple of years of this window where we can move the cap around. We can put the cap into our favor, surround this young nucleus with talent, spend the money, make the trade. You saw Trent McDuffie get traded today from the Kansas City Chiefs to the Rams, them giving up a first-round pick. That would have been a player I would have loved the New York Giants to snag. I'm thinking of a guy like Marlon Humphrey now from John Harbaugh's old team, the Baltimore Ravens, who might be willing to deal him away. These are moves now the Giants have the ability to make because of their cap situation that I do have to give Joe Schoen a credit for, because he came into the Giants. Joe Schoen came to the Giants with a horrendous cap situation. He didn't help it by giving Daniel Jones that big money and letting other players walk, giving Darius Slayton that money, who's another guy I'd like to get rid of. Joe Schoen didn't help it that first year, but he did calm everybody down. He calmed down the cap situation. He helped it balance itself out, and he left us with a strong cap moving forward, which is a part of why Joe Schoen was retained on this team. A lot of the deals Joe Schoen gave out, you were able to get out of after year 1. After year 2 with Daniel Jones, you saw. After year 3 with Darius Slayton. He left us in a good spot moving forward. And if you just look at Spotrac, you go to the New York Giants. It's not hard to find. Go to Spotrac, look at the New York Giants, look at the next few years. The Giants have one of the best cap situations moving forward over the next couple of years. Now, that all depends on what happens with Dart and Neighbors and all these other guys that need to get paid. But for now, the Giants are in a tremendous position to load up this roster under John Harbaugh, get the talent in here, get a guy like Tyler Linderbaum, get a guy like Wyatt Teller, get both guys to come here and play on the offensive line. And you could pay for them now to protect Jackson Dart. You have the ability to do that, and it won't be hard for the Giants. They can move so much money around. they can move so much money around with all the flexibility they have moving forward. So don't look at that small cap number right now, because it's going to get bigger. It's going to get upwards of the $60 to $80 million that I told you guys on how they're going to get there. Even $100 million is very possible. So if you guys want more cap stuff, let me know in the comments. Share, like, subscribe. Giant content coming out. This is going to be a fun offseason. Giants going to make a lot of moves, and I can't wait to see the next one.